Oh, hey, look, it's that series that I said I would do like 2 weeks ago. I am sorry for the delay, and now we will continue with the episode. P.S. I'm sorry. Parts video. Let's go. Hey guys, what's going on? Bahroo here, and today I've got the next episode of my parts video. Again, I'm sorry for the delay, but let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Now, in this series, I take a look at the parts that make up the guns in Borderlands 2, and in this episode, we will be taking a look at rocket launchers. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, Bahroo, what is the best parts for rocket launchers? And I can't really give a straight answer because the parts on the rocket launchers are very interchangeable and you want to use whatever fits your current situation. So, yeah. Anyway, let's just go ahead and start off with the sights today because the sights actually have a stat attached to them that really doesn't show up. So let's go ahead and go over those. So going over the sights, one thing to remember is that there are no negative effects on the sight of your rocket launcher, and all rocket launchers must spawn with a sight. So there's really no negative effects, and as far as what parts you want, it's again all dependent on what you want to use with it. So let's go ahead and go over the stats. This is the TDR sight, and this one will increase the speed at which you reload your gun, as with the most effects with TDR. Moving on to the next one, we have the Vladov scope, and this one will, again, staying to its manufacturer, will increase your rate of fire on your rocket launcher. Moving on to the next one, we have the Malawan scope. Now, surprisingly enough, this won't actually increase your elemental chance at all, and instead will increase your missile speed. All Malawan parts for the rocket launcher will increase the speed at which your missile flies, so if you want a very fast missile, just keep stacking Malawan parts. Anyway, moving on to the next one, we have something that goes against everything, and that's the Bandit. It increases your accuracy. That's right, the most inaccurate manufacturer, the sight for it, makes accuracy increase. So this really doesn't make much sense, but if you want accuracy on your rocket launcher, which on, say, a Norfleet, where it can be mildly inaccurate, you can definitely use this to tighten the spread. Anyway, moving on to the next one. And now for our final scope, we have the Torg sight, the worst one. This will not increase your damage, but will instead increase your accuracy, but not in the same way as the Bandit. The Bandit one will sort of tighten the spread of the projectile shot. The Torg one will just sort of reduce the accuracy lost when firing. So yeah, don't use this. Anyway, that's going to cover the sights for the rocket launcher, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the grips. Alright, so now for our first grip, we have the Bandit grip. Now you'll notice there's a blade on it, and that's because the rocket launchers actually have no melee attachment to them, and it's instead tied to the Bandit grip. So if you have a Bandit grip on your launcher, you will get an additional 50% melee. In addition to this, the Bandit grip will increase your magazine size, but will also reduce your accuracy as well as your reload speed. Moving on to our next grip, we have the TDR grip, as you can tell by its block-like appearance. And this one will increase your reload speed, however you will take a small hit to your magazine size and a decent hit to your weapon damage. Moving on to the next one, we have arguably one of the worst grips outside of using a Norfleet for magazine size. This is the Malawan grip, and all it will do is increase your elemental effect chance, and that's it. If you're not using a Malawan launcher for the mag size bonus, do not use this grip under any circumstance. Moving on to our next one, we have the Vladov grip. Now this one will increase your rate of fire as with most Vladov parts, but this will reduce your recoil recovery as well as reducing your damage. However, the recoil recovery is kind of irrelevant since it is a rocket launcher. Anyway, moving on to our final grip, we have the Torg grip. Now this is the only grip that increases weapon damage, but it will also reduce your accuracy, your reload speed, and will increase your recoil. However, the recoil is again kind of irrelevant since rocket launchers fire so slowly to begin with. However, the hit to your reload speed can be very major depending on the other parts of the rocket launcher. Anyway, that is all of the grips for the rocket launcher, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the barrels next. So to start off the barrel section of this guide, let's go ahead and go over the TDR barrel, and its special effect is that it does nothing. Hooray for useless parts. If you see this type of barrel on your rocket launcher, then just cry because it does nothing. No negative, no positive. Moving on to our next one. We have the Bandit barrel, and this one does not affect the magazine size. However, it will increase your weapon damage at the cost of a little bit of accuracy. However, the accuracy is not too bad as long as it's not on a Vladof. Moving on with our next one. We have one of the better barrels, and that is the Malawan barrel for once. It doesn't actually have any effect on elemental properties, but instead will increase your missile speed as well as your accuracy. So for, say, torque rocket launchers, it's not completely useless. So definitely recommend this barrel for non-unique launchers. Moving on with our next one. And now for really the best barrel in the game for any rocket launcher, and that is going to be the E-Tech barrel. Now I know I said that other barrels would be best for non-unique, but I kind of consider E-Tech to be its own type of unique because of how drastically it changes the launcher. This launcher barrel will massively increase the damage as well as the elemental effect chance, and it will also consume 2 ammo now unless you're using Vladof, which it will only consume 1 and keep its reduced ammo cost in effect. Depending on what manufacturer makes this barrel, you will get different effects on it. For example, the Vladof version will get a massive rate of fire increase and a pretty decent splash radius at the cost of some lower damage. Malawan will turn into a PBFG, at which point it will get a massive splash radius as well as massive damage. However, it will have a small magazine size and will consume 2 ammo. And if you get this on Bandit, turning it into a plasma cannon, it has non-existent splash, but for its damage, it's still really good if you can get direct impacts. However, the carpet bombing effect is mildly useless. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and go to our next barrel. And now for the next one, we have one of the best type of barrels, and that's the Vladof barrel. I definitely prefer this one for any non-unique rocket launcher because I really do like having that rate of fire increase, but you can also go with Malawan if you want rocket speed. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our final barrel. And for our final barrel, we have the Torg barrel. Now this one has one thing going for it: massive damage, and it does that very well. However, it has a lot of negative status effects attached to it. First off, it will greatly increase the missile speed of how fast your projectile moves. It will move at a snail's pace. Hell, you can almost outrun your own missile with this thing. It will also increase your reload speed by a very large factor, increase your recoil, and reduce your accuracy. So use this barrel. If just don't. There's really the benefit of the massive increase in damage just isn't worth all of the negative effects that are attached to this barrel. So anyway, that's been going over the barrels. Now let's go ahead and go over the next important part, which is going to be the exhaust. So starting off the exhaust portion of this guide, let's go ahead and start off with TDR again, and it does nothing. Again, its exhaust has no properties to it at all, so don't use it ever. Anyway, moving on to the next one, we have the Bandit exhaust. Now this one will increase your magazine size but decrease your accuracy. I sometimes use this on the Norfleet to try and push it to a 7-shot, and depending on what you're trying to use with your launcher, the Bandit is not a bad choice. Something I didn't mention at the beginning here is that doesn't matter what manufacturer your rocket launcher is, the exhaust has its set stats, and matching it won't do anything. Anyway, moving on to the next exhaust, we have the Vladof exhaust. Now this one doesn't have any negative effects to it, unlike the barrel version of it. Instead, it will just increase your rate of fire, and that is all. Not really useful on, say, torque launchers, but on Flat Off and Bandit, this is a pretty decent exhaust. Moving on to our next one. We have the Torgue exhaust. Now this one will increase your weapon damage as usual with most Torgue parts. However, it will also reduce the rate of fire, so definitely don't want to put this on, say, a Vladoff. But anything that you're trying to just get the most damage out of, say a Norfleet, the Torgue exhaust is definitely very good. Moving on to our final exhaust. We have potentially one of the best exhaust that you can put on your rocket launcher, and that's Malawan. Now it only has one effect to it, and that's missile speed. However, the missile speed at which it increases it is extremely drastic. The missiles are near instant in getting to their target once you have this exhaust on it. And if you combine this with Torgue barrel, they basically cancel each other out, allowing you to have the Torgue barrel damage with the Malawan speed. Anyway, that has been going over the different stocks, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories to finish up this guide. So, starting off with the rocket launcher accessories, we're going to go ahead and start with the damage one, and you can find this accessory just above the barrel. This one will increase your damage, however you will take a slight hit to your fire rate as well as increasing your recoil. As always, in the top right hand corner will be an annotation explaining which prefix for which manufacturer. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to our next one. We have the reload accessory for the rocket launchers, and this one can be found just above the exhaust here. This will give you a massive reload speed increase, and even more so than the one from the weapon swap accessory, which we'll go over next. And now for the swapping prefix, we can find it again just above the exhaust, and it looks similar to the reload speed one, but the handle is a little bit longer, and this will increase your reload speed but not as much as the reload prefix, as well as reducing the time it takes to swap to and from your rocket launcher. Moving on with our next one, we have the missile speed accessory, which again is just above the exhaust here, this little plating. This will increase your missile speed, as I just said, and if combined with the Malawan exhaust is complete overkill, so you won't need both of them. Either the exhaust or this accessory will do if you're looking for missile speed. Anyway, moving on to the next one. We have the rate of fire increase. Again, you can find it right here above the exhaust again, and this one will increase your fire rate. However, it will also reduce your damage, but not too much, so if you want the extra fire rate, it's not that bad of a hit to your damage. Definitely recommend this on Vladoffs, since their reload and all other attributes are fairly okay as is. Anyway, moving on to the next one. For our next one, we have the accuracy increase and missile speed, and this can be found just above the right side of the body, and this will give you a slight increase in your accuracy, tightening the spread. So if you're using multiple projectiles like any of the bandits, this is pretty good, as well as increasing your missile speed, but not nearly as much as the Malawan exhaust or the accessory. So moving on to our next one. We have our final accessory, which is the mag size, and you can find this again just on the right side of the body on the top, and this will increase your mag size. However, you will take a slight hit to your reload speed, and that'll pretty much cover it for all the rocket launchers. As I said, each of these parts have their own unique effects to them, so I can't really tell you what are the best parts for X, Y, and Z, because it all depends on what you want to do with it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You will be able to expect the assault rifle episode to be up early tomorrow because it's already finished. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. And I did take some time doing this, so I'm going to go ahead and also make the shield video, which you guys have been requesting. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Later.